Guys, Bob here for Tuesday Night Live. Thank you for dropping by and hanging out with us tonight. We have a great show lined up tonight where Santa Claus Hall of Fame inductee Tim Connaghan will be joining us to tell us all about the exciting news and unprecedented world's largest Santa Cruise, a School for Santa exclusive promotion and celebration. If you've been in the Claus community for very long, you have surely heard of the other celebrations that Tim is famous for: the 2006 Discover Santa, first modern Santa convention, and the 10-year anniversary celebration in 2016. The opening of tonight's broadcast is brought to you by North Pole Cornerstones, a new, unique, and entertaining 4-day educational experience. This is Tuesday Night Live. Now let's move along and introduce my co-host. I find myself time and time again being in the presence of greatness. Again, not only one Santa Claus Hall of Fame inductee, but tonight we have two. And it's such an honor to call both these gentlemen and industry giants close friends. The funny man who sells a record number of headbands each year, true story, Spangle.
Hello, guys. Hey, let me tell you what happened last week. I was sitting in my office, and I get this phone call from Bob. He says, Spangle, my granddaughter wants to go to the casino for her 19th birthday. He goes, but you're not going to want to hear what else. She wants to go to Papacita's restaurant in Texas for dinner. And he goes, I know you're going to be upset about that. I said, I'm not going to be upset. What time are you going to be there? He said, 6:30. I said, make it 7 o'clock and I'm in the truck. He said, come on, brother. Me and my wife, Georgetta, in the truck driving for 7 hours just to go have dinner with that guy and his family.
What a special treat it was, too. We always love to be in the presence of you guys. Great friends, always fun. And I'll tell you, Jada, she was over the top when she heard you guys were coming. So, you're one of her favorite uncles. All right, everyone, please say hello to Angela Mack. She's over here in the corner doing her job tonight as always. We couldn't do this without her, so give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Angela. Okay, the first half of tonight's Tuesday Night Live show trivia is brought to you by School of Santa's 2025, hosted by Spangle, the gentleman sitting right there in picturesque Ozark Mountains, Branson, Missouri, where fun and education meets. We'll be right back.
Read about it reporting for TNL Chatterbox News. School of Santa's 2025 will be held July 17th through the 20th in beautiful, picturesque Branson, Missouri, right in the heart of the Ozark Mountains. If you've been before, then you know all about the 4 days of festivities that School of Santa's is best known for. Each year, the host facility, Americ Inn by Wyndham, Branson, and Conference Center, is home to over 100 clauses for the weekend and is centrally located in the middle of everything Branson. If you have never attended SOS, what are you waiting for? You are missing out on one of the Claus community's premier educational opportunities. For more information on price and to ensure your place at the next School of Santa's, contact Tanya Lay at Branson Ticket and travel today at 800-432-4202. Again, that's 800-432-4202 and get registered today. I'm Read About It reporting. Now back over to you guys in the TNL studio.
All right, tonight's trivia will get your name in the hat for not one, but for 2 different school opportunities. You can get your name in the hat for a drawing for North Pole Cornerstones, which will be announced very shortly where it will be held. And the second one, you'll get your name in the hat for a drawing for the School of Santas there, we know, in Branson, Missouri. Anyways, tonight's trivia question is, according to Life Well Cruised, During a 7-day cruise, a large ship will use over blank eggs, blank pounds of coffee, and blank pounds of lettuce and blank ice cream cones. Why there's not nothing on there about bacon, I don't know. But anyways, according to Lifewell Cruise, during a 7-day cruise, a large ship will use over blank eggs, blank pounds of coffee, blank pounds of lettuce, and the blank ice cream cones.
I bet there's probably a cruise line out there somewhere that even has cobbler like you
Oh
do in
my goodness.
Branson. I should have researched that and seen if there was. All right, guys, get your name in the hat for both those drawings and get the answer right. Your name goes in there. So get your fingers busy and come up with those 4 answers. Eggs, coffee, lettuce, and ice cream cones. What a heck of a combination.
Well, just
right,
so we all know, Bob, okay?
Uh-huh.
A cruise ship on a 7-day cruise will use 4,409 pounds of bacon.
Oh, there you go.
So that might help give them an idea where we're going at,
Yeah, might do it.
Boy, that sounds like a lot of bacon.
I
think Gina needs to
not
be
as Spangles around.
I think Gina needs to be on that too. All right. Anyways, okay. So tonight's featured guest has a resume. I mean, an achievement list a mile long. Since the conception 23 years ago, the International University of Santa Claus School for Santas, known for holding classes across the country, has celebrated over 5,500. Yeah, that's 5500 graduates.
Yeah, since 2007, almost 1,000 Santas and wives, Clauses, have enjoyed cruising with Tim and IUSC School for Santas with cruises to Alaska, to the Caribbean, Hawaii, Europe, the British Isles, Panama, and Mexico.
Last here on TNL back in season 2, he joins us tonight to tell us all about the series of upcoming cruises. Please stand and applaud vigorously for the School of Santa Claus Hall of Fame, Santa Tim Connaghan.
Okay.
Enough
of the cookie zones.
Yes. That's a
Good
lot
morning.
of
Good morning,
everyone.
good morning. Good evening.
Welcome,
Wow.
my friend.
I've been traveling a lot the last couple of days. We just got back from a family outing with the grandkids, and you were talking about the cruises and everything. So we went on a Disney cruise. Now, can you imagine looking like this on a cruise with 1,200 children?
You might just need to stay in your quarters.
A little bit of fun. Thank you for having me here. It's great to be here this evening.
You are welcome, Tim. So before we tell folks all about that world's largest Santa cruise in 2026, which for those who are not familiar with Discover Santa, 2026 will be the 3rd Discover Santa event. Now, this is how you're rolling it all in this time around instead of doing a convention, as we were talking about a standard traditional convention in a green room. You've decided to do it this way. The first 2006, and then the 10-year anniversary held in Branson in 2016. And now the 20-year anniversary, which you will incorporate into the cruise, as we just mentioned. First, let's talk about your 2025 and your upcoming cruises for this year. Tell us all about your Alaskan and your Baltic Sea cruises set for this year.
Okay, well, first of all, we finished in February. We did have a Panama cruise. In other words, I wasn't planning on doing 3 cruises a year. I've been doing 1 cruise a year. We started, in our cruise history, we started back in 2007 with the Caribbean. The next year we went to Alaska, then we went back to the Caribbean. And then we decided in 2011 to go to Europe. And so we've added other little things in Hawaii and all that stuff. But Caribbean is very popular, and Alaska, boy, the Santas and wives really love that. So the last 4 years in a row, we've gone to Alaska, and that's where we're going next this May, May 18th. We've got a 1 week cruise. We've got 40 Santas and wives going on board on that, and that seems to be about the size of the groups. We have gone as many as 75 on a cruise, but the sizes are usually around 40 couples, because it's not for everybody. You have some people budget wise, because you're talking probably, we'll keep it in the ballpark, $800 to $1,000 on a cruise per person. That's for 7 days, though. 7 days and visiting 4 different countries or ports. Really nice. And the cruises out of for Alaska and the Caribbean are of course done here. So for Alaska this year, it's going to be great. We leave the May 18th. The neat thing about this cruise is that no passport is needed, because it is leaving from Seattle and returning to Seattle. They do require that new driver's license with the star on it, and you have to have a copy of your birth certificate, but no passport needed. So it worked out pretty nice for everybody. And so that'll be great, a good time for all. And then they get a little break. And then our large cruise for the year, we're going to the Baltic Sea. We're going to visit Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Estonia, Berlin. A really nice cruise to visit all of those countries. And some of those areas, like when we go to parts of Copenhagen and Denmark, we're going to actually be able to go on some excursions that go to those lodges where the shaman used to be, and see how St. Nicholas visited the people in the Nordic countries in those days. That's where we got the reindeer.
Yeah. Well, and circling back to your past Alaskan cruises, I know that your itinerary had been quite extensive in the past. I think you told me in Gatlinburg that you cut that back a little bit this time around.
When we first started the Alaska cruises, we did a land tour also. Now, the land tour is still available for those Santas and wives who want to go on the land tour. I recommend going on it before they join the rest of us on the cruise itself. And what that is on the land tour is you usually fly into Fairbanks, and you get to see how the Eskimos village is built. You get to see sled dogs and go on a paddle boat, a river boat. They also take you on some tours out to the gold country where they did the gold mining with the giant dredges, giant hydraulic equipment that they did a lot of gold, mining, and then get to see a little of the oil pipeline. And when we were doing those tours as a group, and I had those added on, we actually did side trips over to the North Pole and visited the Santa Claus house, which is a wonderful experience. And we would actually have a little ceremony and renew wedding vows at the North Pole, which is kind of a fun thing to do. But we trimmed that off because that is another big ticket item adding to the cruise, trying to keep the cruise costs down to that under that $1,000 thing. And the land tour is beautiful. It is gorgeous, because after you visit Fairbanks, then you go to Denali and Mount McKinley, and you get to see all of that area and the wilds, and go on tours and see the bears and the bald eagles and things like that. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous type of tour. And then you board a train for a train ride down through the rest of Alaska, going to Anchorage, which is where you pick up the rest of the ship and take the rest of your tour on the ship. And the ship, of course, in Alaska, we visit the glaciers. We generally will visit 3 wonderful ports. I think this year we've got Ketchikan, we've got Skagway, and we've got Juneau. And it's just wonderful. Juneau is the capital. And there are lots of excursions and side trips on all of these areas. So you can go whale watching, you can go fishing, you can go see the salmon hatcheries and how they do the fishing. When we're in Skagway, you can take the trains all the way up to the mining camps up in the mountains and visit where and see how the 49ers actually lived. And the bars and restaurants, the buildings are still there. They're still being used, and they're almost 200 years old. It's just a great experience because we're studying our history, and that's what's beautiful.
Now that Alaskan cruise is only about 3 weeks away. Is there still a chance someone can get on that?
There are still some spaces available on that cruise. I mean, I've got a little piece here on it, I think. Did I print it out or not? I probably didn't print it out. But you can go to my website, School for Santas, and there is a link, and you can click on it and contact Lori Love. Lori Love is our coordinator at Princess. She has been coordinating all of our cruises for the past 4 years. What I do on my cruises, I'm not a travel agent per se. And what I've been able to do with Princess, they have a cruise coordinator. This is like Tanya Lay works with you on your school and sets everything up. Lori Love is the person, and there is all the information. It's an 800 number, 902-1272, and extension 21667. That gets you to Lori Love and all the information on those cruises. And it does make it quite nice. I was going to actually, while we're talking here, I can pull up on my own computer. I can pull up some of those things, even though I don't see you. I can tell you all about these wonderful cruises that they have now. The Alaska cruise that's coming up. Let me pull that up. Here it is. It's May 18th through 25. It is out of Seattle round trip. No passports are needed, but you do have to have that special driver's license, and you have to have your birth certificate. If you're a veteran, you get $100 off, by the way. All veterans get $100 off. Well, not off the price of the ship, whether you get $100 onboard credit, which is money you can spend on the ship for gifts, meals, or even use it to pay for part of an excursion or something like that. And so that makes that quite nice. And so again, Lori Love, 800-901-1172. And her extension is 21667. And again, you can go to the website, schoolforsantas.com. All the information is there on any of these cruises that we're doing. The ones I'm talking about now, and a couple more that are coming up in 26. And I'm sure we're going to talk about those in a few minutes. But we're going to leave Seattle the second day. When we're at sea, we're going to have classes. Then we're going to have a formal night where we'll get a group picture taken and some fun things. Then the next day on Tuesday, we visit Ketchikan. And Ketchikan is a wonderful, wonderful town. Lots of dining, great foods, things like that. Plus, again, some nice tours around the area. Wednesday, we're going to be cruising through the glaciers, seeing these wonderful elements of nature. These glaciers are just fantastic. And some of them, of course, are, thousands of years old. And we get to watch them and see them. And usually while you're going by, you'll see big chunks of ice sliding off of these glaciers and stuff. And that evening, we'll end up in Juneau for a visit. The following day, we'll be in Skagway, which is, again, where a lot of the mining was done. And there's a lot of the culture with the Eskimos and totem poles and things like that. Friday, we'll be we're going to have classes. And then Saturday, we'll be at sea on our way back to Seattle. So that's basically what the cruise is like. The whole itinerary agenda is on the website.
So this cruise is kind of following the coast up there. Is that correct?
Yes, this is a coastal cruise, and what it is we will go up and we're going back to Seattle. Some of the cruises are one way. They go from Vancouver to Anchorage, and then others go from Anchorage back to Vancouver. So there are different types of cruises that Princess has put together in these. Plus, they have on the ones that are Vancouver to Anchorage or Anchorage to Vancouver. Those are the ones you can add the land tours to, and
So
do the other visits.
can you see the coast the whole time, or how far off the coast are you?
No, we generally get out a little bit at sea, and again, of course, the nice thing is this is a May cruise, so we'll start getting lighter, longer days. When we've done some cruises in the past, when we were in June, actually, and the longest day of the year, June 20, 21, you know. The lights never go out. You got to have blackout shades because it's very, very bright. By the way, while you're if you've never gone on a cruise before, the cruise ships, and it doesn't matter whether it's Princess or another cruise, all of them have lots of entertainment and lots of activities for you. Plus, as all Santas know, lots of food. And you mentioned that little list that you're looking for on how many eggs and pounds of coffee and pounds of lettuce and the numbers of ice cream cones. That's a remarkable thing. I'm hoping that is also measured by how many people are on board the ship, because some of the ships may have 1,200 or 1,800 passengers. Some of the newer cruise line ships, Royal Caribbean and even Princess, have 3,000 passengers and as high as 4,000 passengers. So you can imagine those inventory numbers for ice cream cones and coffee and such get way up there.
That's three times my city's population right here.
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't given us how much milk and how much cookies.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Santa Tom High up in Vancouver, Washington wants to know. He says he's going on a cruise with you. He has the older version of your Santa book. Does he need to update it, or is he good enough?
Yes, you could. My book has been updated. It's now 265 pages, and I constantly am updating and adding to it. But yeah, the older version will work well. Now, one of the things I have to tell everybody about our cruises, and this is a little bit of a secret, but I do put bits of it in my website, because we teach school while you're at sea, and we do it for half a day while we're at sea. You're getting a very condensed version of my school. So one of the things I do for everyone coming on board is I invite them to be my guest at any one of my regional schools coming up in your area, if you want to attend one of those, at no cost. As long as we got a seat, you're welcome to sit in. The other thing I'm going to do for everybody going on one of these cruises is I give them a thumb drive or a flash drive with all 16 hours of the school pre-recorded, closed captioned, so they can, make sure they get every bit of training that I offer. Because I found out on these cruises, even though we're all sitting in together and sharing ideas and talking about things and and I'm covering an agenda and trying to give you all the training and knowledge I have, sometimes the activities on the ship get a little distracting. And so sometimes maybe Mrs. Claus is not there, and Santa's there, but where's Mrs. Claus? Oh, she found out that the chef is having a cooking demonstration at that exact time, and she wants to go see what's going on. So I make sure that everybody gets all of their training, no matter what, on the ship.
Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think always in the past on your schools, like after you've graduated 5 times or something, you let them come back just to visit your school whenever.
Well, what I've done is after about 4 or 5 years of teaching the school, and I had people, Everett Johnson has been to like 14 schools, but I had people coming, quite often. And the first time you attend my school, I give you a bachelor's diploma. By the way, these are not accredited like the big university diplomas or anything. It's kind of more of a courtesy, but it also is something you can put on the wall and to acknowledge that you have invested the time and the effort into developing your character, developing what you're doing, and learning how to work with the children and the families and give them the best visit from Santa or Mrs. Claus. I think that's what we all want to do. And so, I give you a bachelor diploma. If you attend twice, I give you a master's diploma. Now, I have to be truthful. You're sitting through basically the same training. It hasn't changed too much. But again, we constantly, when you go to any school, you'll find out that you're always learning something else. You always pick up something else. It's the repetition that helps you.
Yeah, and there's always new questions being asked.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it's changed. I mean, when I first started, as a Santa, the people that I was working with, example, a child comes to you and tells you, mom and dad are getting a divorce. I was told by the people I was working for, tell the child that, you're hoping everything will be okay. Let's hope mom and dad get back together. Well, that was, 50 years ago. and things have changed since then. The percentage of families that do follow through on a divorce is much, much higher now. So the odds are that the parents are going to get divorced. So you can't promise to help the parents get back together. You have to have different ways of answering it. And difficult questions are probably one of the things that we get into a lot of discussion within some of the schools because it's changed quite a bit. But and plus now we have video conferencing and FaceTime calls and Zooms and everything else. So our industry is grown quite a bit. In fact, Spangle wasn't even selling Santa stuff when I first started my schools in 2003. In 2006, when we had the first convention, we had 4 vendors. That was it. And now look at it today. We have so many wardrobe people and vendors offering all kinds of products and things.
It seems like there's 4 new vendors every week now.
Yeah, and of course, when I started my training, I wasn't planning a school. I just wrote a book. And people said, wow, this is really great. We don't get a book when we go to this school, and found out that people were getting training, but the training that was going on was only going on at a couple locations, all of them in October or late September, one weekend, that was it. And I decided to start mine earlier because I felt that some of the people coming to schools needed a little more time to take what I was teaching them and use it to develop it and work on it before the season began. And so I started teaching my school, and then I got calls from people saying, well, can you come here and teach? So my first school was in Los Angeles, then I was invited to go to LA or Atlanta. And the following year we did Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and Atlanta. We did more schools, and it's become quite unique. You guys still there?
I'm still here.
We are, and I just want to mention that
my screen went blank on me, so I'm
I just want to mention that your 2025 schools are lined up for Charlotte, Michigan, New Jersey, Oklahoma City, and Phoenix. Is that correct?
Yes. It's actually Charleston, not Charlotte.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charleston. It does say that.
Yeah, that's my home.
I can't read.
That's my home.
And a prime example, Tim, of what you're talking about with vendors. Look at Gatlinburg this year compared to just 2 years ago. The vendors room was full. This year they spilled out into the foyer, hallway, and all the way down the hallway to the classrooms and banquet rooms. So,
yes, it's amazing. Now look, when Spangle first started, how many booths did you have?
How many booths did I have? Like 2.
2. And now what do you have?
10.
I mean, see, in other words, you exponentially how it is growing, and there are more products and more things and more needs. And the wonderful thing is that so many Santas have developed a much broader thing. I mean, when I started, the wardrobe was a simple 2 different suits. a regular suit with fur down the front and one with buttons down the front. You know, and we had Adele making suits, and we had San Mattello making suits. And then you could go online and get a Ruby's or Halco or one of the suits made overseas and sold online or sold in all the costume stores around the country. But now the customization is just fantastic. So hey, we're digressing a lot, aren't we? We haven't gotten to the rest of the cruises.
Well,
How about you got some commercials too?
Jump into this. In 2006, you had Discover Santa, which was the nation's first modern-day convention, and you had over 500 clauses there.
Right.
2016, you came back with a 10-year anniversary, which was held, by the way, in Branson. You had over 1,000 clauses at that one. Now, that rolls us into the 20-year anniversary, 2026, which you have titled World's Largest Santa Cruise, and that's going to be the Majestic Princess. Tell us about that, Tim.
Well, I wanted to people kept asking me, am I going to do a convention in 2026, the 20th anniversary? And I would like to, but I'm also in my 8th decade. I'm gonna be 77 soon, starting my 78th year. And energy wise, do I have the energy to pull off a convention in 2026? Plus, iBurbs has their convention planned for then. You've got this the North Pole Cornerstone thing being planned. You've got a great thing going with Gatlinburg now, really fantastic conventions and trade shows and stuff. And it was like, do I want to try to compete with what they're doing? Plus, I don't have an association. I don't have a pocket or a back room with a whole bunch of workers and stuff. Although some people think I've got lots of elves. The thing is, we didn't have the manpower. And the people who helped me in 2016, a lot of them have retired or stepped down. Or when I did tell them about the idea of 2026, they said, wonderful. It sounds like a great idea, Tim, but I'm not going to be available. I can't, I don't have the energy, Tim. I don't have it, And so I got to thinking, well, I've been doing these cruises. Why not try something different? Let's see if we could pull something off. It won't be a convention because we're not going to have a whole bunch of workshops. We're not going to have a vendor fair, but we're going to do is invite, right now we're looking at 200 Santas and wives going to the Caribbean for a week. We'll have some seminars, some lectures, big group events where all of us together will hear the same speaker, and we'll take a couple mornings and have a couple 3-hour, 4-hour sessions with some keynote speakers and stuff. And the rest of the time, we'll just enjoy the Caribbean and have a great time. There are also going to be some media on board covering it and everything. That's one of the things that's happened on the cruises over the year. We've had coverage by the Travel Channel and NBC and CBS and all kinds of media. And when you talk about having a group like ours on a cruise ship, we have some media coming along and some documentary people. So there'll be lots of chances for things like that. Plus, on our first night is February 14th. We're going to have a ceremony with the 200 Santas and wives, renewing their wedding vows. So I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Now they're going to have their passport on that trip.
They have to have their passport on that trip. Yes, it is that way. And again, that is on the Majestic Princess. It's an 8-day cruise. It celebrates the 20th anniversary of Discover Santa, but it's not a convention. Again, like I said, we're going to have keynote speakers, some media events, and things like that. The basic trip. Saturday we depart Fort Lauderdale. Sunday we're going to have your breakfast on your own, but we're going to be at 9 a.m. to noon. We're going to have a big gathering inside one of the dining rooms where we'll have some keynote speakers and some fun activities, a little entertainment going on for everybody, just for the Santas and wives that are on board the cruise. And then on Monday, the 16th, will arrive at Amber Cove in the Dominican Republic. It's a private beach area. Princess has their own beach, their own water. Oh, and the Santas all get to, there's a zip line. And there's no fee. We can all go on the zip line and that's going to be crazy seeing all the Santas lined up to
All
go
right,
on
now
the zip line.
we got to take in consideration here the weight limit for that zip line.
Oh no, we got no problem. We got no problem. No problem. Yeah, no.
And tie your beard down so it doesn't
Well,
get caught on the roller wheel.
maybe I need to clarify. Yeah, if you're a 4X or above, yeah, you're probably not going to get to go on the zip lines. But it is a lot of fun. And then the Tuesday will be in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Wednesday we're going to St. Martin. Thursday we're going to go to St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. Friday morning, we will be back in the dining room for another, like our closing session of the trip, with some ceremonies and things like that. And then in the afternoon, you're on your own on the ship. And of course, they have wonderful swimming pools and all kinds of fun stuff. And then Saturday, we will have some more little activities for everybody. And Sunday we return to Fort Lauderdale.
So that 1187 on that, does that include your meals and everything? And
that's everything. You bring your suitcase, you get to your room, you unload your suitcase. You don't have to repack or anything like that, and you're all taken care of. Your food and beverage.
And your outings too, except for
they have a cafe in the piazza at the center of the ship, open 24 hours, with all kinds of pastries and your coffee and your beverages. And there are also some deluxe packages for an additional, I think, $60 a day. They pay for your gratuities and all your other incidentals. They pay for your Wi-Fi, for your phone or your computer if you bring it with you, one or the other. And they also, not to say that we want them, but there's all the drinks. You can have like up to 15 drinks a day. So if you like beverages, either alcoholic or non-alcoholic, it's all included. So it makes it kind of fun. And again, it's going to be the world's largest. So that'll be next February 14th. And then for those who want to, we've got 6 more days you can add on to it. And in the 6 more days, you can go to a few other great locations in the Caribbean. So it'll be kind of like the western portion of the Caribbean on that second portion. But like I said, that upgrade program with the Princess Plus package, it's like $60 a day, but you get about $1,000 in benefits. Wi-Fi, gratuities, beverage package, premium desserts, 2 per day. They have some of the more decadent cakes and things like that on the ship. 2 casual dining meals per guest. By the way, 24-hour room service, guys. Yes, wow. You can order all kinds of food. My favorite, of course, is simple: peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and ice cold milk at 11 o'clock at night is just to die for.
Sweet.
Oh, and there's live Broadway shows on the ship too.
Does this include wheelbarrow service too to get you off the ship?
One of the things I think we'll have with our group, and of course if you've been around, a little bit. We do have some Santas who like the scooters and things like that. I think we'll see quite a few people using scooters to get around. But they have all kinds of shows going on the ship. There's all kinds of entertainment. In the piazza, there's always entertainment down there. They have a theater at the back of the ship. They have bingo events going on. Of course, if you like shopping, and the ladies do like shopping, there's all kinds of shopping on there. FE is a beautiful jewelry company. They do a lot of things. They love the Santas. I'm sure they'll have a special promotion just for us to see all of their stuff. So it does make it great for everybody.
Now they're
by the way, you can call Lori Love and get all kinds of information. You're also most welcome to call me and ask me about different things. I got. I'm trying to think of how many people we've had, going on these cruises and stuff like that. Like I said, I've got a list here, and I don't know if you guys can see my list. These are all the cruises we've been on, and
Well, now, actually, you've had 21 School for Santa Cruises, from what I read.
well, actually, the cruise coming up, this cruise, the one that's on the Majestic Princess, will be our 21st cruise. The
Okay.
one this summer will be the one to Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. That is our 20th.
20th. Okay.
20th cruise, and that one is in July. And that one there, like I said, is Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, and Germany. It's on the beautiful Sky Princess, which is one of their newer ships. But again, it is a limited. It's one of those things when you talk about going to Europe and visiting, 15 days and visiting, all these countries and these ports and everything. It's just, to die for. We've done the Mediterranean. We did the British Isles. Those are all wonderful cruises. We did this Baltic one with Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and everything in 2011. It's probably the best cruise we had with Princess. We went to Russia. We had 2 days in Berlin and things like that. And the Santas were all going to the World Congress of Santa Claus in Bakken. And the cruise ended in Copenhagen the day the World Congress began. So as we got off the ship at 7 a.m., we went right to the headquarters hotel and started the convention. And we had 75 in our group. So we had, I think, 38 Santas. There were over 150 Santas from all over the world that week there in Bakken, and it was just fantastic. But while on the Princess ship, the cruise director wanted to do something with us. They videoed a lot of us doing things. We were live on the video monitors in the morning show for all the guests. And then on the last day at sea, before we went back into Copenhagen, because we had our suits, they invited us to do a little parade. So we all paraded into the piazza at 2:00 in the afternoon, and they brought out all of the Christmas wardrobe for the entertainers. All the ladies who were dancers were dressed as Rockettes. And they said, we'll have them escort all the Santas. And I said, oh, we can't do that. I said, the Mrs. Clauses would be very upset. When I did the convention in 2006, I didn't know if I was going to have an audience for the Santa parade. So I had all the Mrs. Clauses line the parade route and wait at the end of the parade for the Santas to arrive. They didn't get to be in the parade. But I had dancers from one of the local shows in Brancis, and they were dressed kind of like Rockettes, escorting the Santas. So all the Santas had these pretty girls escorting them, not their wives. Well, the wives told me that was not right. So I would never do that again.
Well,
So
the wives might have told you.
I told the cruise ship I can't do that. And they said, what if we gave each of the Mrs. Claus one of our male dancers in a white tuxedo to escort them? And I said, oh, I'll ask the ladies. And I asked the ladies at dinner that night, and the arms started popping up. I want the tall guy that was, this dancer, and I want that dancer. So the ladies were very happy to be escorted. And we filmed the whole thing. There's actually a video of the whole thing. It's just a gorgeous ceremony. They brought out the snow machines. They had all the entertainers on board. The real surprise, though, was as the Santas all arrived, they dug into the ship's stores down into somewhere in the ship, and they pulled out 200 teddy bears to give to all the children on board. It was a great experience.
Right. So that story about all the Mrs. Clauses raising their hand about wanting this guy or that guy or this guy reminds me of an old joke that talks about that the church was needing some money, and they thought they'd pass an offering plate, and whoever donated the most money would get to pick the next 3 hymns. So they passed around the offering plate. They got the money, and they were surprised that Miss Ellen there in the back of the church gave the most money, and they called her to the front and said, which hymns would you like to pick? And she said, I'll take him, and him.
Yes, that is the
was
ladies
it.
the ladies have fine tastes. Yes.
I hear that.
So,
Hey, I tell you what. On that note, let's you sent in some photos and a video. Let's take a look at those real quick, and
oh
on the other
yes,
side we'll talk about that.
sure.
It's just gonna play the video next here. Give her just a
Oh,
second.
that was
to get that
Angela.
up.
Thank you for putting that together.
See if we get this to play.
Chris, cookies and milk. Give me a ho! Give me a ho ho! Give me a ho ho ho! What does that mean?
Hey, thank you guys for pulling that up. That was great.
Always
By the
fun.
way, that little ho 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 at the end, you probably, I don't know if you do that in your classes, Spangle, or not, but I know a lot of other groups use that. Give me a ho ho ho. That came from the 2011 cruise. We were in Bakken, in Copenhagen. They had a young man from Denmark who was or from Norway, who was the coordinator for the like a master of ceremonies. And so he's got 150 Santas. He's got thousands of people out in the audience, and he does that ho ho ho. Gets everybody in the audience and all the Santas sync together doing ho 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 ho. And I came home and started doing that at the school.
Well,
a young fellow named
we
Peter
did it
started.
the way that you do it for a long time. And now instead of the Merry Christmas, we put the name of our school.
The name of the school.
And I've seen that now in so many different places, and that the ho ho ho, and then in the end, a lot of places have changed.
Oh yeah, well, that was in the school. We did it with Merry Christmas, but then maybe we had the dinner afterwards, and it would be the Lone Star Santas or it'd be the Palm Tree Santas. Yeah. I said, if you got a big audience in that restaurant, you don't want them saying School for Santas because they don't know what that is, but you say the name of your local club, and that's a little advertisement for your club.
Yeah. And my favorite thing is, at our location, we'll get like children to come through the hallways or whatever, and I'll ask the parents, can we bring them up? And we'll interrupt the class. The instructors kind of know that, hey, when a child comes, it's about the children. And we'll bring them up on the stage, and I will have the child say, give me the ho, give me the ho, ho. And then the class responds back to that. Mom gets a video, and it's all fun,
Oh, yeah.
The
unique thing is we constantly learn from each other.
Yeah.
Like I said, the young fellow named Peter, who was the master of ceremonies there in Bakken, he's the one that came up with that. I just brought it back here to the state. And
you brought it back, and then it exploded.
We constantly, someday we'll be gone, but everything that we've taught and trained and shown everybody else, hopefully, will carry on in some way or form, and will be tweaked and tuned and repackaged to fit whatever it is, whatever the lifestyle is going to be 50 years from now.
And all my roots go back to you, my first school, and then of course Gordon Bailey, and been with Gordon for so long.
Oh yeah.
And, so
Gordon was at the first school in 2003.
Yep.
and was a student. He was a vendor there, working, helping sell Santa suits and products and things like that. And and he came to the second school in 2004, and I think in 2005. And the next thing I know, SAPA has been it was created. So
And I shared yesterday over on our Tuesday Night Live Facebook group a memory that popped up night before last of Gordon at Gina Bacon's Las Vegas event where he was using. Let me grab him up here.
Squeak.
The sock monkey right here with the squeaker
Uh-huh.
in his glove, and how he commanded the room and how many laughs he got out of that squeaker and this little monkey right here.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
But,
All the fun stuff. All the fun stuff.
And that's the monkey, isn't it?
That is the monkey. That monkey goes everywhere I go. If it's Santa related, that monkey goes with me. Before Gordon passed, I had nicknamed it Gordo, and so that's Gordo the sock monkey.
Yeah. Hey, before we go, I know you guys are almost done. I just want to mention that after we do that world's largest cruise, okay, we're going to go to Japan next summer of 26. So we've got this is what it is when we go on some of these cruises, some of the people on the cruises say, where are we going next? And they start thinking of ideas, and Japan was the next one. So we're looking at going to Japan in May of 26. And then in October of 26, we're going to bring it back home. We're going to do the New England, Canada, which will be a more fun for everybody. It'll be right there at the beginning, just before the season begins.
Very
Nice.
good. Well, we're not
So-
done yet, Tim. So stay with
Oh,
us.
okay.
We got a whole nother half.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break because Spangle has a commercial and what he calls a showstopper special, and then we have a second trivia. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, hello there. Yes, of course, it's me, Santa Claus. Now, you may not believe this, but one of the questions I get asked the most is, well, not how do I do it all in one night? No, but where do I get all my things from? Yes, now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the finest things I have. My glorious gloves, all my knickknacks and trinkets and things. Yes, all the giveaways. Yes, for me to give to the children before the main event. Yes, if I see them in the streets, if they come and see me, I like to have something in my pocket I can treat them with. Yes, and there's one special place where I can find all these magical goods. And that is, of course, stuffforsanta.com. You should head there now and see what magical gifts you can find. Mrs. Claus, have you got my ice pad? Yes, log me on, I'm going to have a look. I shall see you there. Stuffforsanta.com. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Bob, you can probably help me out with this because the name slips me. There is a Mrs. Claus that makes this baseball.
That's correct.
Do
They're
you
in
remember the name?
Alabama. It's Bob Oyer and his wife.
She makes this. She actually went on YouTube and learned how to stitch a baseball. She opened it all up. She embroidered all this, and then she learned how to stitch it and stitched it back up. With her blessing, I made these. And there's a lot of, similarities because it's with her blessing. But these are soft, and, it's baseball season now. And so a lot of the Santas like to wear baseball shirts and stuff like this. And so you can get these. These sell for $6 for $20. And we're going to ship them to you free. Get yours. Be ready for baseball season. You see them little children walking around with their glove, or a lot of Santas are throwing out the opening ball. You can have a few of these in your pocket to toss the children.
Her name, by the way, is Deborah.
We'll get Deborah. We'll get you a package of these, $20. We'll ship them to you free. Fun. Could even be pet friendly. They're just super soft. If you hit a child with these, you ain't gonna hurt. It's just very, very cool. And they're a favorite by many of the Santas. I get a lot of Santas that do things at the baseball fields. They wear the baseball jerseys. We even got baseball jerseys, but you carry those in your pocket and you just have a little fun with it. Anyways, that's the prize for the trivia. That you'll get a package of them, or you can order them from us. So, anyways, tonight's trivia: what is the name of the oldest cruise line with a history dating back to blank that carried cows on board to supply fresh milk before being slaughtered and eaten on the final day of the voyage? These days, over blank pints of milk are brought to the cruise ship for a 2-week cruise. To produce that amount of milk in 2 weeks would require blank number of dairy cows. So, and
for
it's
your
not,
information, that comes
it's
from the
not,
same source as the first one did.
yeah. And I'm guessing really the first cruise ship, okay, would be Noah's Ark. That's not
Good
the
guess.
answer we're looking for here.
Good guess. Also want to mention this, Bangle.
Yes,
I
we
know
have those.
Tuesday Night Live tumblers and coffee mugs. If you're interested in one of these, holler at Spangle. He's got those.
$20. That helps buy the M&Ms for the green room for people like Tim. You did get your
Wait
M&Ms.
a minute. I didn't see any M&Ms in the green room.
Oh, Bob, you're falling short again.
Oh. I had told you M&M peanuts is what I like.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah, I do
I have been told lately. It's funny that you say M&M peanuts because somebody called me an M&M peanut the other day. And I said, well, why is that? And they said, well, Spangle, an M&M peanut describes you almost perfectly because you're hard on the outside. You're really a sweet guy, but when you get right down to the core of it, you're just a nut.
You're just a nut. Yeah.
No truer words spoken. There you go.
Anyways, all right. What is the name of one of the oldest cruise lines with a history dating back to blank that carried cows on board to supply fresh milk before being slaughtered and eaten on the final day of the voyage? These days, over blank pints of milk are brought onto a cruise ship for a 2-week cruise. To produce that amount of milk in 2 weeks would require blank dairy cows.
We're looking for 4 answers there, guys. The name of the oldest cruise line, or one of the oldest, the date, the pints of milk, and how many dairy cows. And again, the source on that is the very same as the first trivia tonight. Live well cruised. So that'll give you a heads up on that, and you can go find that really quick with that website.
Oh.
All right, Tim, let's go ahead and move on along here. Everyone, want to welcome back Tim Connaghan, our featured guest tonight, Hall of Famer. And I'm going to turn it over to Spangle and him ask the next question.
Okay. It was great seeing you in Gatlinburg. What was a couple of the highlights you took away from the Santa Fe reunion of 2025?
You know, one of the things I did is I went to just see a lot of good old friends, and of course, Phil Wentz was there. Phil is now, stepped down from his work in Illinois and all that stuff. So I wanted to say hi to him and Deanne, and it's so it was more and more of that type of thing. Did get to go to a couple neat little workshops and listen in on some of the new things going on. Carlucci had a new program, where we're using AI a little bit. AI is becoming a big thing. And by the way, a lot of the Senators need to be very cautious about people inviting them to do AI work. I recently, or last Christmas, saw an ad. Somebody in the New York area was advertising for a Santa willing to pay him $400 for the day. This was like in July, to help them create an AI Santa Claus. Well, the thing is you got to watch out, because once they do the AI with you, your likeness is gone forever. and they can put any words they want in your mouth. It's not you anymore. So you have to be very restrictive on it. That's my commercial. But I wanted to see what he was talking about. And his use of AI is really fantastic because he actually has it to where he can talk to his elf who is in his laptop through the AI and ask any question, and the elf will come back with answers. So it is a unique program with AI where you can eventually put all the data and information in and be able to have all kinds of answers for the kids. You let the elf do it for you, and it becomes your product and your uh, program, and can enhance the visit you make with the children.
You know, back in the day when we were younger, they talked about that robots were going to take over the world. And right now, I'm not so sure that in a few years that AI might be able to do that.
You know, Saint Nicholas started this 17 centuries ago. And yes, the parents and the storytellers and the artists and the musicians uh, and of course in the modern period now with the animators and filmmakers and stuff like that, constantly creating new things. Every year we see a new commercial, a new movie, something new about Santa and new stories about how he does this and how he does that. It's always going to change. It's constantly going to change. But I know that the work about that we do as Santas, the human relationship, the human touch, the realism, this is what makes what we do so special. Yes, we can do certain things with the Zoom calls and the phone calls and things like that, which does make it nice. But that home visit, that personal one-on-one visit, you know, we may not have as many department stores in the future. That seems to be changing quite a bit. But that one-on-one personal touch, it's going to go on forever. You know,
I was watching a show in Branson this last weekend, and it was kind of cool. I don't know if this would be considered AI or not, but you see those fan blades that spin around really fast and they produce an image and it can look like a person
oh
and stuff.
yes, yes.
And they had Elvis on the fan blade, and then they had the singer from the theater, and they were both up on the stage. And Elvis was talking to the person, the singer, and then they sang a duet together. And Elvis was talking, you know, as they're singing, and Elvis say, "How about that Jerry over there on the guitar?" Talking about the actual guitar player that's on the band, you know, and
Uh-huh.
it was just amazing.
No, the AI, that type of AI has you know branched out quite a bit. I mean, I remember watching some things with different videos now that are done where you can be on camera. Anybody can be on camera. Any person, any man, any woman, and basically they can digitally create the celebrity face, and
Yeah,
it's this person's voice, but the celebrity is doing everything. So
right.
that's out there, and it can be it's being done in many ways. ABBA has created a whole show they're doing over in London now, where they have live entertainers at the bottom of the stage, and up on the giant screen above is the original ABBA cast that has been digitally created. They've had America's Got Talent. They had an Elvis on that was fantastic, and they had other singers. So it can be done.
Yeah,
But what I'm talking about is being able to have that child sit on your knee, to
yeah,
go into that hospital and visit that child who is ill. These are things that AI can't do and will never be able to do.
right.
And if you look at example, Christmas music, what are the most popular Christmas songs? They're all 25 to 60, 70 years old, the most popular songs. And we keep wanting to reach back. We want to experience the holidays like we saw at grandma's house, or, you know, when our mom and dad set it up for us many, many years ago, whatever.
Yep.
So the personal visit from Santa is always going to be there. And that's why we also have to up the ante a little bit and be good at getting selfies and pictures and stuff like that. I think one of the most fantastic, fun things I get to do when I'm traveling is I'll be somewhere and I'll be in an airport and someone comes and says, "Oh, I wish my daughter was here. You know, she would be so happy." Or, "I wish my grandkids were here." And I said, "You got a phone?" I have them pull out their phone. I have them start on the phone saying, "Hi, this is Grandma. I'm here at the," and I jump in and say, "Did you say Susie? Is Susie? Hi, Susie." I jump in. Only we can do that. It's not an AI thing.
Yeah.
And we're there with Grandma or Grandpa or Daddy or Mommy or whoever it is. You know, the live personal touch is what makes it special. And as long as we can be actively doing that, and for those of you who make money as Santa, which all of us dabble in it a little bit, some more than others, the home visits and the visits with families, that's what people want. That's magic to them.
Yeah.
They can't get that out of the TV set. They can't get that on the internet. They can't get it anywhere. They want that real thing, because what they're telling their children is that Santa Claus is real. Santa Claus is not someone inside the TV or on the computer. Santa Claus is a real person, and you are the person that's doing that.
Yes.
That's correct.
So
let's go on to another question. We touched this a little bit earlier. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did you think about the number of vendors and the space it took to house them, including in the foyer at Santa Fe Reunion?
Well, I know I had some vendors say that it was a little tight. In other words, they tried to accommodate everybody. And it becomes a little harder as we go around. You constantly, I made my way through the vendor room, I think 4 times during the weekend, during the convention. And the thing is part of it was because sometimes you miss stuff.
Yeah.
You got to look again and again and again, especially that guy Spangle. He's got so many booths. I can't find everything I need. This is where
spreads out, doesn't he? Oh, Tim.
Like I said, at the first convention in 2006 in Branson, we had Sam Mattello was there with some Santa suits. I had Adele's Santa suits. I had a bunch of T-shirts. I had some walking sticks. I had a bunch of bumper stickers. And would you believe somebody bought a bunch of my bumper stickers and they were selling them from the 2006 convention? They were selling them at Gatlinburg. They had some left over. We also had a belt manufacturer. We had somebody with their books, and that was it. Just a couple rooms. And
you mentioned 2006 again. In your wildest dreams, looking back just to 2006, I know you, like you said, you've been doing this for 8 decades or whatever you said there. I know a long time. Could you have ever thought that the Claus community would grow as big as it has to present day?
I don't know. In 2004 or 2005, we had about 1,000 email addresses of Santas. This is what we used to start marketing that first convention in 2006. And we knew that, we didn't even know how many Santas were in the malls because the photo companies wouldn't share anything. They don't share the information of how many malls they have, how many this, and we were getting numbers like, Cherry Hill had this many in, Sepia had this many in, Nor had this many in, and we started thinking, you mean there's 12,000 Santas working in the malls? No, there wasn't. But the numbers were just, sky blue, people pulling them out of the sky, and we still don't know today because don't use one combined database. You know, iBurbs has a database, Forbes has a database. You know, the Santa Claus Network. You know, Michael Riley has a database with but there's no combined all over to know what we have. And with COVID, we lost a lot of malls. We had a lot of people step back. I remember in 2008, we had a lot of Santas stop working because of the Enron fiasco and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, Santas were starting to come back to work that had retired because Enron went down. So it constantly changes. But I like the idea. I like the family reunion because it's not any one association. They market to every group and things like that. iBurbs has theirs, which is marketed to their members, but they of course invite everybody else to come to their convention. Forbes is the same way. Forbes is more West Coast, but they're wanting to reach into the more states and reach more people and things like that. It's like when I started my school, I was going to travel because Charles W. Howard didn't travel, okay, and the Denver school didn't travel, and Victor, Nevada in Canada didn't travel, so I would travel. Now we have some 40 different training programs available between different Santas and different trainers. It's amazing.
It is.
Well, let's go to our viewers and see if they have any comments or questions.
Oh,
sure, we got a little bit here. Okay. Kane Smith said, when I first decided to become a Santa performer, I started planning my next move because I really didn't know how to go about things. I had heard of C.W. Howard School, but I knew that wasn't feasible at that time. Eventually, my first step was ordering the home study course from Tim Connaghan, and then I learned so many things I needed to know. I still watch those videos weekly. I am excited about this episode tonight.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. We I think it was in 2008 we recorded part of the 06 convention. We tried to put a lot of stuff together from that convention, and one of my daughter's godfather had a company that videoed conventions, the workshops and training sessions, did it for the Veterinary Association and stuff like that. So he came and did the convention. Then we ended up doing the school. And then the people with Christmas Dreams helped me record the current program I have. And we just re-recorded the entire school. We're now having it edited and closed captioned again. So we'll have a new updated version of the school. I'm glad that I've got the home study course because it'll be around long after I'm gone. I wish I had a little higher quality, kind of like your commercial, Spangle, that you just had on earlier. The production quality on that commercial was great. I wish I could have that kind of production quality in teaching my school. But my school is live as it happens. We film it as I teach the school. So it kind of...
I've got to confess to you on something. Yeah. I don't know if it was the school that you were filming, but you were doing a live online 2-day seminar.
That's what I did. That was my school. I did the live from Florida, live from Orlando.
If you go back and look at that video again of your school, you will see a gentleman sitting in your first row, Hunter Woodson.
Yes.
And if you go back, you'll see him going like this, and then he'll go like this, and then he'll go like this. I was texting him during the class, raise your left arm, raise your right arm. He goes,
oh, thank you, Spangle. Okay. No, and Hunter is a fantastic Santa.
Yeah, he's a great
amazed
guy.
at how this young man has grown in the community and what he's doing now. But again, these are the young people that are going to take our place.
Yes.
They're
Let's
going
hope
to
so.
evolve into what we're doing. This is my 55th year of being, 56 I'm starting, 1969 was my first experience. It was just with a bunch of guys in the army, but we put on a
shaving cream, wasn't it?
Beard is shaving cream, yeah.
Yes.
But a year later, 1970, I was actually working for Bullock's, which is part of Macy's. Yeah, I did that.
Our very own Mr. Trivia, the guy that gets all the answers, said to you, AJ Bayless said, Tim, I may be going to your school at Jingle Joy.
Oh, okay.
It's
a Michigan school we got coming up with the Michigan Maps group, right?
Yes.
Maps.
Santa Chris also said, looking forward to seeing you at Maps Jingle Joy Retreat.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, what I've been doing is today I was doing a lot of rewriting because I'm updating my PowerPoints and rearranging part of my training program, because every year, every class, there's basics that we want to cover. The first day is a lot of basics. The second day gets into more of the business and stuff, and I'm trying to keep all of that stuff fresh and try to give everybody the basics, but give them all the current stuff. What's new,
Santa Charlie Johnson says,
yours is what, 4 days now?
Yes, sir.
Your training's 4 days?
4 days.
Yeah.
With a couple days added before for Branson.
Fun stuff and everything, yeah. But what I'm saying is that there's so much to learn, and I'm trying to still keep it into the 2 days because that seems to be the pocketbook of the average attendee.
Yeah, we started out with Jessica Rosa as a photographer vendor and myself as a vendor, and that was basically where we were at. And now we've got about 14 vendors, but we're limited on space.
Yeah.
Charlie Johnson said he met you at Santa Family Reunion, and he will see you in Michigan.
Wonderful. We're going to have a lot of fun up there because they have reindeer up there too. So a lot of the Santas are going to be able to bring along their Santa, rigs, their clothing and things like that, and get some photos taken with live reindeer. I've been lucky over the years to do things. I have there's a picture right here behind me. You'll notice that's with Blitzen, and we're on the beach in Newport Beach, California. I actually have video of myself walking the reindeer along the beach. That's and then nice. I've done, I did the Today Show. We had reindeer and things like that. And of course, when you start working with them, you learn out some of them have different diets, different things that they like. By the way, I'm in my actual office. So these are some. There's the reindeer. These are the Blue Angels right here. That was Hurricane Sandy. Over here, I'm on a power boat. We've got another one here. This is from the League of Nations set. Done some things there like that. And way up on top, I have my newest, which is, I'll just tilt this up real. Oops. What did I do? I just lost my screen here, so I can't see.
No, you're still there. Just go ahead and tilt it up.
Well, the thing is, I'm trying to get the right screen here. What it is, I touched my screen, but if I tilt this up, that was from the Marine Corps. That one there, that is one of the original Marine Corps posters. So I've just started having to expand my office to all the different things. And then this right here, this is the Department of the Navy. I was presented with the Meritorious Public Service Award for the Department of the Navy this last Christmas. Which was one of those things where you say, I'm not going to cry. And they gave me this nice award, and I was just blown away. And then 2 weeks later, they gave Tom Cruise an award, and it's almost the same. His is a step above mine. His is silver, mine's bronze. But it's for my volunteer work with the Marine Corps and Toys for Tots.
Very nice.
Larry Okay, Larry Davis added he was blessed to see you in Colleyville, Texas, at your school in July of 2023.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
I
you mentioned
Texas
Tim
is
about
along
the
for
live
Santa.
reindeer. I'm
I
sorry.
tried to do a school every year there, but this year I'm going to Oklahoma because the guys up in Oklahoma said, we're tired of driving down to Texas every year. So I'm going to Oklahoma City this year.
Yeah, that's a good group there in Oklahoma. When are you going to be there?
Oklahoma City is coming up real quick. I'll just pull my calendar up here real fast. Oklahoma City is June 21 and 22. The one in Michigan with MAPS, the Michigan Association of Professional Santas, is May 29 and 30. And then I'm going to do one here at home in Charleston, August 16 and 17. And I did have one I was hoping to do in New Jersey, but we had to change that. And I've had some people wanting me to do one in Atlanta, but because there's so many other schools going on, it's hard to put a school together because my schools are generally right around 24, 24. That's a group we can work together with. I'm not looking at trying to have, a big thing. I think what Spangle is doing now with his program, that is akin to Charles W. Howard in the size and scope, but it's more school and vendor and excitement and vacation and more modern, I think.
Kind of all everything rolled into one big party.
Into one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned.
Where are you going next, Bob? Where are you teaching next?
Well, we have
secret.
Cornerstones next February, and it will also be in Oklahoma City. We're thinking. We haven't actually locked down the contract yet, but that's where we were looking.
Oh, okay.
We were in San Antonio the last 2 years. San Antonio's prices have increased by 100 to 150% in 1 year.
Oh, you mean the
So we're
hotel?
kind of having to step back away from there a little bit and see if we can look around. But
Yeah.
it's
I did San Antonio last year, and then I was jumping back and forth between Dallas, and
Houston.
and Houston. But again, like I said, this year it's Oklahoma City. Trying to find the best deals. It's because it's not just teaching the school; it's trying to keep it in the pocketbook of the Santas.
That's right.
Yes.
And that's what you have to do nowadays. Spangle's location is kind of unique with the kitchen and everything that he's got going on. So he's got a sweet deal, but the rest of us kind of have to go out there and look around to be able to keep, like you say, keep
I'll
the
be going
price
back
down.
to Orlando next year. I don't know the date yet, but Orlando is a school that I can do where I can try to with MAPS, I'm working with them and letting them do all the booking and all the coordination on theirs. And they last year they had Santa True, and I know Minnesota is doing a program, and they've got True coming in also.
Well, you know very well, Tim, how a lot of the hotels want you to pay this much in food and beverage and
Oh yes,
all
yes,
that.
yes.
We are blessed at the hotel that we hold it at. They give us the kitchen and we bring in our own staff.
Oh wow.
Yes,
That's neat. That's
prepare,
a neat thing. Yeah.
we prepare all our own meals and everything.
Oh wow, that is
It's
great.
got a unique situation.
Yeah, we're very blessed in that. Hey, I think we got a video to run on Larry, don't we?
We do, but before we go, we got one more question that you skipped over there from Bart Gaffney. He was talking about Tim talking about AI, and Tim mentioned something that made him say, "Are you saying that virtual visits are not an effective representation of your portrayal?"
No. I'm not saying what I'm talking about with AI is where you sit down and you record some things and you get one payment from the AI company, and then they can now turn around, use your likeness, and book 1,000 visits.
Right.
Okay, that's an AI visit. The nice thing about what we do is being able to have that two-way conversation. An AI Santa cannot look at the family and say, "Who's that Santa behind your daughter?" Or, "Do you have a puppy dog in the back?" The AI can't do that. AI can, so virtual visits, FaceTime visits, Zoom visits, and everything. Those are still going to be great, just like our one-on-one warm body touching the child and shaking hands with dad and all that stuff. Visiting the family in their home. But if you can't do that, the next best is the virtual visit. But on the virtual visit, you've got to be proactive on that too, in the sense that when you're talking with the children in the family, you've got to be able to look at things and ask them, "Gee, I like that blue shirt you're wearing there, Bob. That is so neat." An AI Santa can't do that.
Yeah.
An AI Santa can't say, "My goodness, how many little curios and things do you have behind you, Spangle? I see thousands of them." An AI Santa can't do that.
And they're everywhere.
So you see, so I hope I answered the question that he was asking.
I think you
is that
did.
our virtual Santa can do things. You just have to be very proactive in saying, "Wow, I like those pictures on the wall behind you. Those are so neat." Or you see the little girl wearing the pink dress. "I like that pink dress. Did you pick out that dress? Did you buy that dress?" And of course, the little girl will probably say, "No, my mommy did." But see, that's the neat thing about the virtual visits.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Okay, now let's go to that video that we were talking about, Spangle.
Roll video.
Larry.
All right. We've got one more treat for everyone. So let's run it real quick and we'll be right back.
Okay.
This one, the lineup,
No, the caboose.
Caboose.
where's Caboose at? I'm so unorganized.
I want to say thank you to Larry Talbot, Talbot Insurance Services. He is a contributor to the TNL network, and we appreciate him very much, as well as Joey and Priscilla Sanchez at Caboose. Thank you guys so much for helping us out here.
You got to meet
All
them
right,
at the gathering. Caboose was fantastic. I love the way he's got that chart on how to measure your feet and pick out the type of boot you want, the toe you want, everything else. It's really, really quality.
Yes, he he hadn't been out to events, kind of been in the background for years and years and years. And Elizabeth Roosh had reached out and said, "Hey, why don't you come to Gatlinburg?" And he did. And I think it was one of the best things he's done because, again, seeing a picture of something is one thing, but be able to pick it up, hold it, feel the quality of it, and talk to the person that actually hand makes that product is a real plus for us Santas. So. All right, let's go ahead and reveal tonight's trivia answers. We want to start off with, of course, it was a cruise night, cruise trivia. Schoolofsantas.com, according to Life Will Cruise, during a 7-day cruise, a large ship will use over 45,000 eggs, 1,800 pounds of coffee, 9,000 pounds of lettuce, and use 20,000 ice cream cones. Our winner, Angela?
Diane Dean.
Diane Vian wins that one. Fantastic, Diane. Your name goes in that hat again for School of Santa's drawing and also for the North Pole Cornerstones drawing. Great job. StuffForSanta.com. What is the name of one of the oldest cruise lines? That is Cunard, Cunard. And they date back to 1840. We asked about how many pints of milk was on board. 40,000 pints of milk. And if you was to take a 2-week cruise today and do it with cows, it would take 25 dairy cows. And you're never going to guess who won that one.
AJ?
Spangle?
AJ?
Mr. Trivia.
Well, I think we should give it to Connie because Connie.
Angela says his mother Connie helped him. But fantastic job for you guys. So I put out earlier that we wanted to give away Spangle's balls. So I guess you're going to have to send him a set of balls.
We're going to stop that one right there.
I figured you would. All right, let's go ahead and start closing out the show. It's been a fantastic show. We have thoroughly enjoyed having Tim along. What's your closing thoughts, Spangle?
Well, my closing thought on tonight's show is how honored I am to be one of the hosts on the Tuesday Night Live show and to get guests like Tim on this show. He has been somebody that I have admired and looked up to and have raced him in the parking lot of Toys R Us.
So, by the way, when we put together the 2016, Spangle was one of the people that came forward, and he helped on so many ways with so many things. And because again, it was in his backyard. I was a guy from California coming out of New York and everything else, and having the locals is very, very important.
Yeah, I think I ran my scooter over his $400 shoes.
I have never, ever, no, excuse me. I have a pair of Santa boots. Didn't cost that much for shoes, no.
All right, so I'm going to add to that a little bit. This is my final thoughts. As the seasons come and go, we're reminded about the joys of being in an industry with so many greats. Folks we emulate, learn from, look up to for guidance, and become lifelong friends with. The claws industry grows by leaps and bounds each year, but it is our mentors and our seasoned clauses that keep most of us grounded. They are trendsetters and visionaries, those who sometimes are just in the right place at the right time. I'm proud to say that these two men are just that to so many of us. Tim and Spangle, two of my two of the greats in the industry, let's put it that way, and both very humble. And I'm blessed to call both of them my friends. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks. All right. Join us next week for our next TNL episode, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. Don't forget to watch all the TNL Network Production 2025 list of shows.
Yeah, catch Bob and Venus Monday at 3 p.m. Central Time.
That's right. And following that, now Sean White has moved to Monday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern. Catch Sean and the Claus Connect. New night, new time. And she's on YouTube and Facebook, TNL Show and the Claus Connect.
Tomorrow night is the ever-popular Kringle Brothers with content that you won't want to miss. Kringle time starts at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Streaming on YouTube, Facebook, all powered by TNL Productions. Join Santa Mail on Thursday, 8 p.m. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, on Santa's Magical Fellowship.
That's right. This week's topic is what signals your go time for the season. Going to follow that up right after Mill's show. It's Polar Opposites. That's with Jamie Dozier and Santa John McLeod. 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. Tune in, kick up your heels, join in the fun for 2026, all powered by the TNL Network production. Big thank you to SchoolofSantas.com, StuffForSanta.com, Talbot Insurance Services, NPCornerstones.com, SantaNana.com, NationwideSantas.com. Tell everyone good night, Spangle.
Well, don't forget Caboots. All right, good night, Spangle.
And Caboose, that's correct. Tim, thank you so much. Love having you here. Always very informative, and just keep up the good work, my friend.
Blessings to all of you. And remember, everybody, it's what's in your heart.
Yeah, don't go nowhere. We'll meet you back in the green room.
Green room, that's right.
Oh.
Remember to join us for our next
Okay,
Tuesday
I'm-
Night Live
I'm
each
looking
week,
for
7
those
p.m.
peanuts.
Central. Go ahead, Tim.
He's waiting for
I'm
the peanut
ju-
M&Ms.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, Spike was supposed to be refurbishing those, bringing a new. I was going to say a bag, but I don't think a bag's going to be big enough for all of us. So
Yeah.
better grab a whole box full. Anyway, each week, 7 p.m., same clause time, same clause channel. Count your blessings, not your sorrows. May your troubles be small and your blessings be large. Have a blessed week. On behalf of the whole TNO production crew, I'm Santa Bob McMaster saying good night. Never stop learning. Hope to see you back on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Check out all the shows. Good night, all. Happy closing.